Let's talk about reasons why you're not seeing your relaxed hair grow. If I asked you what one of your hair goals was, you might have on that list having long hair. And I know it seems like having long relaxed hair is pretty elusive. For as long as I can actually remember, I've heard that black hair and relaxed hair just cannot grow. So many people would tell me that relaxed hair can't be long and it just stops growing once it gets to a certain length. Now, hearing all of that my whole life, I actually started to believe that it was true. I personally have always had hair that was on the longer side. I could grow my hair to be past my shoulders and then I cut it and then it would grow back again. And I always had people who were so amazed that the hair on my head was actually the hair growing out of my head. So yeah, I did believe the myth that relaxed hair and black hair couldn't grow long, but I started to think that maybe, hey, I was just a weird exception to the rule and I just had really good genes and could grow long hair. I was wrong. Yes, while genetics does play a role in how our hair grows, it's not the only reason or way to grow longer hair. So let's talk about this, and I'm going to share 10 reasons why your relaxed hair is not growing. Now, hold on. Yes, your hair is growing out of your head. Unless you have some medical issues, your hair is getting longer. It might not seem that your hair is getting longer though, and that's probably because you're not retaining any hair length. I found during my relaxed hair journey that length retention is one of the main, if not the main culprit for not having long hair. Now, length retention is maintaining the existing length of your hair by minimizing or eliminating hair breakage. So if your hair is breaking off, it gives you the illusion that your hair isn't growing because you're typically using as much or more hair when it's breaking off as is growing out of your head. But guess what? Length retention is something that can be controlled. So we're going to talk about, like I said, 10 causes for lack of length retention and some things that you can do about it. My first cause for not retaining length of your hair is the hair is just dry. When hair is dry, it's very fragile. It's prone to breakage. I found that for me, I tend to have a lot of breakage around my ends, probably about this length of my hair. And that's because my ends are the oldest, driest part of my hair. Of course, that's where I'm going to see a lot of the breakage. And that tends to be also a place where a lot of other relaxer ladies tend to as well. So the key is to keep your hair, especially your ends, moisturized, which can help stop that breakage and help with retaining length. Now, if you have dry hair, there are some things you can do to add moisture back to it and help your hair retain that moisture. The first is to use gentle moisturizing cleansers on your relaxed hair, such as sulfate-free moisturizing shampoos and even co-washes. But all moisturizing shampoos are supposed to add moisture back to the hair and not strip away all the good natural oils. So that's something to really look to add to your hair regimen. Another key thing to do is deep condition regularly. And you want to make sure you're using a good moisturizing deep conditioner. And then to amp up that moisture you're getting from the deep conditioner, you can use some heat or steam, and that will help to push the conditioner deeper into your hair strands. Consistently moisturizing your hair using a good moisturizing leave-in conditioner and then following up with a hair serum or natural oil to seal in the moisture helps with adding moisture to your hair, but it also can help with retaining moisture as well. Another thing you can do is to trade in your cotton pillowcase for a satin one and or wear a satin or silk scarf or cap at night. Now, the reason you want to do this is that cotton can suck the moisture from your hair, which can leave it feeling dry in the morning. Silk and satin don't remove that moisture from the hair. In fact, I found that my hair sometimes ends up more moisturized in the morning when I've wrapped it with satin or silk. Now, if you want some more details on how to keep your dry, relaxed hair moisturized, you're going to want to check out this video right here. My second reason for not retaining hair length is not using the right amount of protein on your hair. Now, just like relaxed hair needs moisture, it also needs protein. All the things we do to our hair, such as styling, regular maintenance, using chemicals, weaken our hair, making it more prone to breakage. The solve for this is to include some protein in your hair regimen, which adds strength back to your hair and helps to minimize breakage. I'm going to be saying those two words together a lot. So buckle up. Now, on the other hand, if you get too heavy-handed with the protein and use it too much, it can coat your hair and weigh your hair down, and that can cause breakage. There are a couple things you can do if your hair needs some protein. The first is to use a protein treatment. Now, you can use a heavy protein treatment like the Affinity 2-step protein treatment, which is a really popular at-home treatment to give your hair protein. Or you can use a lighter version of that, which is the Affinity Keratin 2-minute reconstructor. If you want to keep it simpler and not do an extra step with a treatment, you can just rotate into your hair regimen products like leave-in conditioners or deep conditioners that have protein ingredients. Now, I mentioned if you give your hair too much protein, it can cause some issues with your hair, and that issue is called protein overload. Now, there's some things you can do to correct it if you get to that point, and I talk about them in this video, how to identify your relaxed hair has protein overload and how to fix it. The third reason on my list for not retaining hair length is using the wrong hair tools and accessories. Now, some of the hair damage I've had over the years was due to the hair tools and accessories that I used. I have to tell you, I've used combs with seams that pulled up my hair and created breakage. I mean, you could literally hear my hair breaking as I was combing. I've also used elastic hair ties with seams that would pull at my hair and would break my hair off. Like I would literally have strands of hair stuck in that elastic. Now, I'll admit, when it comes to anything we use to style or care for our hair, it can cause some breakage, but we want to use things that will cause little to no breakage. So here's some things you can do to achieve that. One is to use a seamless comb, meaning that the comb has no seams on the little like teeth. Because most combs, if you look, they have a seam where the two sides of the comb connect, but you want a comb that is just basically made without that, because then there won't be anything to snag or pull on your hair. You can also not use brushes on your hair at all. Use them sparingly. A lot of the brushes will just pull and tug and break the hair. So I don't really use brushes on my hair, except I will use a vented brush when I am blowing out my hair. If you're putting your hair in a bun or a ponytail, use a satin or silk scrunchie instead of an elastic band, because they're nice and softer on your hair and they don't pull and tug at it like an elastic band does. If you use hairpins on your hair, make sure the ends of the hairpin have a little bulb on them. The reason you want to do this is because underneath that bulb is a nice sharp metal edge. I've had this happen to me, and I've had hairstylists tell me the horror stories of customers who have used hairpins that didn't have the bulb and it just sliced some of their hair strands and gave them a little haircut. You don't want that to happen. The fourth reason on my list for not retaining hair length is wearing damaging hairstyles. Yes, this is totally possible. Some of the ways that we wear our hair or how these hairstyles are installed can actually cause some damage and do more harm than good. Now, these are styles that we typically use to like protect our hair, protect our ends. They're like long-term and even short-term protective styles, but they tend to put too much tension on our hair and our scalp, which can then pull the hair and cause the hair strands to weaken or cause there to be bald spots and hair strands not even to grow. So if you're wearing any of these kind of styles, which are buns, braids, wigs, weaves, there are a few things to keep in mind. One is when you're getting braids, just make sure they're not done too tightly. And if you're getting things like box braids and stuff and you're getting the extra hair woven in, make sure when you're taking it out, you're not cutting your actual hair. You're just cutting the fake hair that was used to create the braid. If you're wearing a wig, don't glue it to your scalp. I know there's lots of wig glues out there that tout like, oh, it's not going to pull out your hair or anything. I've seen so many videos, and I don't know why I keep watching these videos, but they're of women who have been wearing wigs for several years or just started wearing wigs, and they decided to glue their wig to their head, and they weren't even using like regular glue. They're using glue specifically for wig installs. And when they were taking it off, I don't know if they were taking it off wrong or what, but it took some of their scalp with it. It took some of their hair with it. And then they ended up having bald spots where the glue had been, and they weren't able to grow hair back there. So just don't. And if you're wearing a weave, just make sure that the technique used to install your weave isn't going to be damaging. I mean, there can be points in time where the braids put in are just really tight, and so they're pulling on the scalp and causing some hair loss there. And also you can have it where the needle technique used to install the weave might actually cut your hair. I've seen a few stories about that. Reason number 5 for lack of length retention is too much manipulation to the hair. Now, we obviously can't avoid manipulating our hair because everything we're going to do to it, styling it, washing it, and just even daily maintenance requires some level of manipulation. But if we over manipulate our hair by constantly styling it, brushing it, and using direct heat, that can lead to dryness, frizziness, and breakage. So to lower the amount of manipulation to your hair, one thing you can do is just keep your hands out of your hair as much as possible. It's hard to do, I know. You want to flip it, you want to touch it. You can like get your fingernails snagged on your hair and start causing breakage or pulling hair out. And also your hands can suck some moisture from your hair, which you don't want to do because you want to retain as much moisture in your hair as you can. Just try to avoid touching your hair, even though it's kind of hard to do, right? When it comes to detangling your hair, just take your time, be gentle. I prefer to start with my fingers when I'm detangling my hair, particularly when I'm about to wash my hair, just because I can feel literally with my fingers all of the tangles. And then I know where to be gentle. I know how tangled my hair might be in that spot. And so it's easier for me to work it out than when I just have a comb, because sometimes I can start tearing through a tangle and not realize how bad it is, or that I'm actually making it worse. And then, as I've mentioned at least once or twice before, use a satin nightcap when you go to sleep. The reason is it protects your hair from your pillowcase. It also keeps your hair from moving around too much at night, which is a way that you can cause some friction on your hair and make your hair feel like it's being manipulated, which can then lead to lack of moisture and lack of strength in your hair. Reason number 6 for not retaining length is not getting regular trims. Now, I know getting your hair trimmed, it might seem like it's going to hurt your hair growth versus helping it, but that is only the case if you trim too much and too often, which is not what we're talking about. Now, getting regular trims, or dustings as they're sometimes called, don't fall into the camp of actually like getting a haircut, because you're taking off just a small amount of hair to help get rid of split ends, help to even up your hair to just make it look good on the end, and also to remove damaged hair. Now, I get regular trims every 10 to 12 weeks, and that's when I get a relaxer touch-up, and I found that that's not making my hair any shorter. Actually find that my hair is looking and getting longer because I'm not taking off the same amount of hair that is actually grown out during that 10 to 12 weeks. I'm just cutting off enough to even out my hair and to take off some damaged ends and split ends that have happened during that relaxer stretch. I found that by getting regular trims, I don't have to get haircuts where I'm cutting off like inches of hair, because I'm getting rid of the hair that is damaged, and it's usually not a lot at that time. Now, if you found that you have split ends and you don't want to take care of them by going to the hair salon, you want to just deal with it at the house, but you don't want to have to use actual hair shears, there's a tool you can use which is called the Split Ender Pro. I've used it a few times myself and it actually works really well. It's got a fixed blade that snips the last quarter inches of split ends off of the hair. My number 7 reason for not retaining length is relaxer overprocessing. So for those of us with relaxers, overprocessed hair can be a huge reason why length retention just seems so elusive. Now, there are a few ways that relaxer overprocessing can happen. The first way is when it's applied incorrectly. Now, an incorrect application is when it's applied to previously relaxed hair during a relaxer touch-up, or when the relaxer is left on too long. Either way, you have hair that's getting processed way too long that is causing it to weaken. The second way that hair can be overprocessed is when you're using too many chemicals. Because of that, so many hair experts recommend you don't color your hair when you get it relaxed. If you do, just make sure that you're following instructions, or you are going to a hair professional who will be able to apply both of them correctly. If you have hair that's just relaxed and you're not messing with color, one of the ways you can make sure to not over process is to just make sure the instructions are being followed and your hair is being processed, or the relaxer is sitting on your hair for as long as the amount of time it needs to actually get the hair smooth. Also, just making sure that the relaxer is not getting applied to previously relaxed hair. I've seen so many women talk about their hairstylists who are telling them, hey, I've got to relax your whole strand of hair, even though some of the hair has been previously relaxed, and they're not doing it to correct under processing. They're just doing it because either they're lazy or they don't know any better. So I'm telling you, if your hair has been previously relaxed and you're not getting a corrective relaxer, your relaxer does not need to be relaxed again, just your new growth. Now, there are also some internal factors that can impact length retention for your hair, such as a poor diet, and that's my reason number 8 for lack of length retention. So yes, what you eat, what you drink can impact how healthy your hair is and how it grows out of your scalp. Now, if your hair isn't in a healthy state from the start, then it's more prone to damage and breakage. So make sure you stay hydrated by drinking lots of water. When I'm not hydrated, I notice that my scalp starts to feel dry, and I know that's impacting how my hair looks and feels. You can also eat foods that have high levels of protein, vitamins, iron, and fatty acids, or you can even take supplements that can help to add some of those additional proteins, vitamins, and iron and fatty acids to your body. Too much heat is what I would say is another main reason for not having length retention. Direct heat from hairstyling tools like blow dryers, curling irons, and flat irons can really break down our hair strands, weakening them and drying out our hair, making it even more prone to breakage. Probably makes sense that to solve this, you should be using blow dryers, curling irons, and flat irons on occasion, or really not at all. Now, I know staying away from heat styling tools isn't easy, but there are a few alternatives you can do. One is how you dry your hair. You can do a roller set and you can air dry. I roll set my hair when I have the time to put in the rollers and sit under my hooded dryer. And hooded dryers are not bad heat for your hair because it's heat that's not applied directly to your hair. It's swirling around your head. Air drying can be done, but not everybody's hair likes air drying like mine. My hair does not like air drying. My hair just doesn't come out smooth. It doesn't retain moisture when I do it, which is why I prefer other alternatives to drying like roller setting. When it comes to styling your hair, there are a few things you can do, such as doing heatless hairstyles. You can do buns, you can do braids. I've seen women using these heatless hair tubes where they stick them on their head and then wrap their hair around it and sleep on it. And then in the next morning, they end up with these nice curls. I prefer to use steam rollers and I can get some nice curl in my hair. If you do want to use heat styling tools on your hair, I totally get it. I admit it. I like to use them too sometimes. I like to blow up my hair, which this is actually a blowout. And sometimes I might want to use a flat iron in my head. When we do that, we need to use a heat protectant. And so there are two heat protectants that I really like. One is the Silk Elements Mega Silk Olive Heat Protectant Spray. The other, which is the one that I use on a regular basis, is the Mael Mongongo Oil Thermal and Heat Protectant Spray. The number 10 reason for not retaining hair length is using the wrong hair products. Yes, you can use the wrong hair products on your head. Did you know that? I mean, hair products are formulated for different hair types and to help remedy different hair issues. So if you just start using hair products because your favorite relaxer influencer uses them, you could sometimes luck out and they might work for your hair. But there's a pretty good chance that all of those products won't work for you. So if you have dry hair and aren't using moisturizing products, or you have weak and damaged hair but are using products with some protein, you could end up not giving your hair what it needs, which can then lead your hair to being damaged and having some breakage. So instead of just blindly using products on your hair, you should strategically pick your hair products based on your hair type, your hair needs, or issues. And once you've found those products that help your hair thrive, just keep using them. You can try new products as well and rotate them out, but just really focusing on the ones that work well for your hair can really help you retain some hair length. Another thing to look out for are some ingredients in hair products, and you want to make sure you're using products that have ingredients your hair does like. I've seen many relaxed hair ladies say their hair doesn't like coconut oil, so they tend to stay away from products with that ingredient. Now, I share more about picking the right products for your hair regimen in this video right here. But before you watch that video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.